Remember when music came on plastic, not playlists? 1. The 8-track tape. The music revolution that stopped mid-song. The 8-track tape wasn't just technology, it was the soundtrack of the open road. In the 1960s and 70s, America fell in love with the 8-track tape, the shiny plastic cartridge that promised a new kind of freedom. You didn't have to rewind, just pop it in and drive. Car stereos roared with rock and roll, road trips had a soundtrack, and for a moment, it felt like the future had arrived. But halfway through Stairway to Heaven, click, the machine switched tracks mid-song. It was clunky, bulky, and often jammed at the worst time. Within a decade, the cassette tape took its crown. Smaller, smarter, and far more reliable. Still, the 8-track remains a symbol of an era when America dreamed in chrome and gasoline. It didn't just play music, it captured the sound of a generation that believed the road never ended. 2. The Flowbee, the vacuum that cut hair and hopes. Would you trust your vacuum cleaner to cut your hair? In the 1980s, millions actually did. The Flowbee was a wild promise. Save hundreds on haircuts. Do it at home. It attached to your vacuum and sucked hair while trimming it. Infomercials made it look futuristic, a miracle of home technology. But for most people, it was a noisy disaster. Uneven cuts, buzzing vacuums, and traumatized kids quickly turned the dream into a joke. Yet behind the laughter was a snapshot of 1980s America, a time when gadgets ruled and optimism overflowed. We truly believed every problem could be solved with innovation, even bad hair. Today, the Flowbee lives on as a cult curiosity, a relic of a nation that dared to put faith in plastic, suction, and a smile. 3. The Sinclair C5, the plastic car that couldn't. Imagine driving a car so low to the ground, truck drivers couldn't even see you. That was the Sinclair C5, a tiny electric trike launched in 1985. It promised to revolutionize travel, clean, affordable, futuristic. But in reality, it was a slow, flimsy, and freezing ride. With a top speed of 15 miles per hour and zero protection from rain, it became a punchline overnight. Critics mocked it. Commuters ignored it. Yet, decades later, the C5 feels strangely prophetic, a glimpse of the electric age long before Teslas filled the highways. Its failure wasn't just about bad design. It was about timing. The world wasn't ready to believe electricity could replace gasoline. The Sinclair C5 reminds us that every great leap starts with a stumble, and sometimes the future arrives before we're ready to accept it. 4. Betamax, the better format that still lost the war. What if you created something better in every way, and still lost everything? Sony's Betamax was the pinnacle of 1970s tech. Crisp video, clear sound, cutting-edge design, it was the future of home entertainment. But VHS had one thing Betamax didn't: longer recording time. Families could fit a full movie on one tape, and that single advantage crushed Sony's dream. By the 1990s, Betamax was gone, remembered only by die-hard fans. But its story became a timeless business lesson. Technology doesn't win on quality alone, it wins on how it fits into people's lives. Betamax wasn't a failure of invention, it was a failure of connection. It's a reminder that even the best product means nothing if the world isn't ready to use it. 5. The Apple Newton, the iFlop that sparked a revolution. Before iPhones ruled the world, Apple created a gadget so bad, it became a punchline. The Apple Newton, launched in 1993, was a bulky digital assistant that promised handwriting recognition. Instead, it misread almost everything. Notes turned into gibberish, and reviewers roasted it mercilessly. But hidden inside that failure was brilliance, the seed of the mobile future. The Newton inspired the Palm Pilot, the BlackBerry, and eventually the iPhone itself. It proved that even Apple's missteps could shape the next generation of technology. Sometimes, the future doesn't start with perfection. It starts with a mistake that dared to dream. 6. New Coke, the day America rejected the future. It took just one sip to start a nationwide rebellion. In 1985, Coca-Cola unveiled New Coke, a sweeter, smoother version of its classic drink. Executives were certain it would dominate the market. Instead, it became one of the biggest marketing disasters in history. Americans felt betrayed. They boycotted stores, wrote angry letters, even organized protests. Within 79 days, Coca-Cola surrendered, bringing back the original formula as Coca-Cola Classic. New Coke taught corporate America a powerful lesson. You can't reinvent nostalgia. Some things aren't just products, they're memories, emotions, and moments frozen in time. For a brief, strange summer in 1985, America learned that sometimes, progress just doesn't taste the same. 7. Laserdisc. The giant disc that predicted the future. It looked like a record. It played like a miracle. But it flopped like a stone. The Laserdisc arrived in the late 70s, promising perfect picture and sound long before DVDs or Blu-rays. The quality was stunning, but the format was massive, expensive, and impractical. You had to flip the disc halfway through your movie. Most families stuck with VHS. Still, the Laserdisc quietly paved the path for digital media. It inspired the technology that made DVDs, and eventually, streaming possible. It's a classic American tale of innovation that failed, but changed everything anyway. 8. Clairol Touch of Yogurt Shampoo. The dairy disaster. It sounded healthy. It looked delicious. But it was never meant to be eaten. In the 1970s, when America went wild for natural living, Clairol launched its boldest idea yet, Touch of Yogurt Shampoo. A hair product, made with real yogurt. The packaging looked so much like dessert that some shoppers actually ate it. Others complained it smelled like sour milk. Within months, Clairol pulled it from shelves, embarrassed and defeated. But this odd product wasn't just a marketing blunder. It was a symbol of an era when experimentation ruled. From disco to diet fads, America in the 70s loved to push boundaries, sometimes too far. Touch of Yogurt Shampoo reminds us that innovation often walks a fine line between genius and absurdity. 9. The Segway. Reinventing walking. They said it would change cities forever. Instead, it changed mall security. The Segway launched in 2001 with wild predictions, the future of urban transport. But it was too expensive, too dorky, and too impractical. People didn't want to look like robots gliding down sidewalks. Still, the Segway's story isn't about failure. It's about vision. It inspired electric scooters, hoverboards, and personal mobility tech. The Segway showed us that the dream of effortless motion never dies. It just needs better wheels. 10. The DeLorean. The car that drove into legend. It couldn't win a race. It couldn't stay in business. But it still became immortal. The DeLorean DMC-12 was a stainless steel fantasy, gull-wing doors, futuristic design, and a name straight out of Hollywood dreams. But under the hood, it was sluggish, unreliable, and riddled with controversy. Then came Back to the Future. Overnight, the DeLorean went from commercial flop to cultural icon. It became the car that defined the decade, not because of its performance, but because of what it represented. The limitless imagination of the 1980s. The DeLorean didn't just drive through time on screen. It drove straight into